see that in our churches. We see that in many aspects of our lives.
Yeah, thank you very much, Linda. This next question is for Audrey, and it's coming online. Is mental health illness, or depression to be precise, is it hereditary? Or could it be hereditary?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Is mental health okay? I can see the question on the.
Oh, good.
Is mental illness hereditary?
Yeah.
No, not always. Not always. Depression is not hereditary. I wouldn't say depression is hereditary. Um, it can be, but it's usually not. But I wouldn't say it's hereditary. I wouldn't say just because somebody in your family has depression, then you have to have it. But there are some aspects that I would say possibly that they. It's a very difficult question to actually answer, but generally I would say no.
Okay.
Not
In other words, are there
be.
some other forms of mental illnesses that could be hereditary?
Yes, there are. There are. Some people think that bipolar is hereditary, and schizophrenia. Some forms of schizophrenia is hereditary, but there is a causal link. But it doesn't follow that just because somebody in your family does that you will have. So it's not like, for example, like what is the hereditary? Like sickle cell. If there's a sickle cell, if there are two parents that are SS and SS, you will be SS, right? So that would follow. But that doesn't always follow with mental illness.
Okay.
You could be predisposed.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Audrey, will you support the idea of mental health treatment?
Would I support the
idea of mental health treatment being free of charge?
Being free of charge?
Yep.
Would I support? Absolutely.
Well, I mean, or partially. Should people with mental health illness be treated free of charge?
Sorry?
Should they be treated free of charge, as in Nigeria, for instance?
Should, because you see, with every other illness, if you're ill, if you're physically ill, you may still be able to function, and you may still be able to produce, and you may still be able to be a functioning person in society, even if you're ill. But with mental illness, once your mind goes, you can't really do anything. So if you're really seriously mentally ill, you cannot function. So, like, for example, if you have, let's say you're disabled and you're in a wheelchair, you're able to function, you're able to do things, and you're able sort of contribute to society. But with a serious mental health illness, it is very difficult for you to function.
Should they be treated
once your mind is gone?
Should they be treated free of charge, as in Nigeria?
Yes, I do believe that they should. Okay. Absolutely.
That's a question. Okay.
Like here in the UK, because of social care, with mental illness, you are treated free of charge. You are housed. It's a disability.
Yeah, that's why I related it to Nigeria.
It's a serious disability.
Thank you very much. The last question is going to Neda, and it says, some insane persons taken to churches or a local herbal person do often suffer physical abuses in form of beating or an attempt to perform exorcism. What's your view about this? And please comment.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question. Can you repeat it? It's not.
Yeah. Some insane people, or persons rather, who are taken to churches or some local voodoo people have suffered physical abuses in form of beating and exorcism. What's your view about this? And comment, please.
I don't think I can comment a lot on this because, physical abuse also occurs in Egypt, but maybe not because of voodoo, for other reasons, especially amongst the rural areas. And I'm not an expert enough to comment on this. Dr. Audrey, please, your input is important.
Okay. The last question.
There have been reports,
Yep.
and there have been documented reports on the human rights abuse towards mentally ill people. It occurs. It's still occurring today. People are being chained. People are being they're not being fed properly. They're being beaten. So it does occur today, and it's because we have no legislation. So if there is no legislation, if we're still looking at the Lunacy Act, which basically means, put people away, don't necessarily treat them, just put them away out of sight and just make sure that they just sort of like survive, but there's no real basic treatment, then these atrocities will continue to perpetuate. So yes, they do happen. Yes, they're still happening.
Thank you very much. The last question is for Audrey, and it's for you to comment. Not a comment, really. It's how do we reenact the mental health bill, given its potential benefits, which you enumerated earlier on?
Reenacted? What do you mean?
Well, it was going through the parliament at one time or the other, then it all stopped, and we need it in order to derive those potential benefits. So how do we go about reenacting it?
Well, this is what we need to do legally, and I guess we need to draw attention to it by talking about it, by even posting it on social media, even to get a hashtag going. There have been ways which just ordinary hashtags have gotten governments to stop and pay attention. So we may need to start doing that. I mean, look at hashtag #EndSARS. So we may need to jump on this and hashtag mental health 2020 bill and start talking about mental health and the amount of suicides that are going on. Somebody put here that they think that a major cause of mental health issues and depression in Nigeria is economic hardship. It definitely is. And like I said in my report, that, the sheer difficulty of living in Nigeria can have, it's a huge burden, and it can have issues to do with your mental illness. It can send into depression. So the mental health bill needs to be talked about again. Otherwise, it would die like the 2002 mental health bill that was started, because people don't see it as a priority. They still say that we haven't. Basically, what has happened is that we're still struggling with our physiological health in Nigeria. We still haven't got that down pat. We're still struggling with primary. We're still struggling with primary healthcare. So if we're still struggling with primary healthcare, they're not going to want to start talking about mental health. But we need to make them pay attention, because what COVID has shown us is that people who were even just functioning, they were okay, when they sat down to pay attention to themselves, they realized that they might be in trouble.
Yeah, thank you very much for that answer, and that concludes the series of Q&A.